definitely, I think about that all the time. Like, what do you do when you need to ship a $50,000 card in the mail? Like you can't really just go to the post office and say, hey, can you insure this? Or the UPS store. And then especially like in the event that they can, which I think a lot of their limits are up to 10, 20,000, like it's going to be super expensive. So tell me, like, how do you make the insurance process better from a shipping perspective? I know that's a massive benefit of using stadium insurance. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a special edition interview over on the Bonkers Cards podcast channel, coming in just in time for the holidays. If you guys are looking for a little extra bonus content from Bonkers Cards, well, I'm excited to deliver you an interview that I did recently with CEO Dan Lorber. Dan actually just recently joined the Bonkers Cards Club for our November meeting, and I thought it would be cool for us to have a sit-down interview and speak a little bit more in detail about what he's been building with Stadium Insurance. I'm really excited about that, and I want to thank Dan for joining the Bonkers Cards Club and building a really meaningful product. So I'm going to be jumping into that. I'll be releasing this interview episode right here before the Thanksgiving holiday, and it wouldn't be right without me at least saying with this time of year just how thankful I am for everybody who has been following along on my content journey, the Bonkers Cards channel, and everything that I've been up to. So want to say thank you to all you guys. I hope you get to spend this next coming week with your family and your loved ones. And yeah, man, here comes a awesome edition of the Bonkers Cards podcast and an interview with CEO Dan Lorber. I hope you guys enjoy. I'll send you guys over there now. All right, guys, I'm here today with a special interview with the CEO of Stadium Insurance, Dan Lorber. Dan, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm stoked about this.
Great. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man. And so, Dan, you were just this week the guest of the Bonkers Cards Club, our November club meeting, which was super cool. How'd you like being the guest?
That was great. I mean, you had a great audience, some very, very good questions about insurance, my background, and it was great meeting everybody.
Yeah, well, the club loved having you, man. It's been a pleasure getting to grow that and build that audience. And additionally, like to be able to bring people like yourself along to give value and learn different parts of the hobby. The month before you, we had Brian Pirip on, who is founder of Mint Cases. I think he's building an awesome product there. And I love seeing the innovation and the entrepreneurship that's happening within the industry. And for what you're building, there's definitely a need for it. So I want to get into talking about your founding of Stadium Insurance. Would love to hear a little bit more on your background. Tell me about when you first started collecting and what brought you to founding Stadium Insurance.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been a collector ever since, a 10 years old teenager, collected cards, collected autographs, collect game used equipment over the years, and been in the insurance industry for 30 plus years. It's one of those things. I graduated from college and got heavily involved in the insurance business, was an insurance agent, opened up my own brokerage. And about 5 years ago, I sold my agency and sold my business, and still wanted to be relevant in the hobby
Sure.
when I'm buying and selling memorabilia. And I figured what a way to bring my two passions together, whether it's collecting and insurance, and felt there wasn't a good insurance product on the market that was designed to meet what the modern day collector was looking for.
Yeah.
So at that point, I would say about 3 years ago, we built Stadium Insurance, and we've been up and running for the past 3 years.
That's awesome, man. No, I mean, I think about that all the time. Like, what do you do when you need to ship a $50,000 card in the mail? Like you can't really just go to the post office and say, hey, can you insure this? Or the UPS store. And then especially like in the event that they can, which I think a lot of their limits are up to 10, 20,000, like it's going to be super expensive. So tell me, like, how do you make the insurance process better from a shipping perspective? I know that's a massive benefit of using Stadium Insurance.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We found that a lot of collectors, we've had a bunch of horror stories about buying insurance through whether it was FedEx, UPS, or the Postal Service, where they really don't understand the hobby as far as the valuations, what these items are worth. They don't know the difference between a game issued jersey versus a game used jersey, or a PSA 7 versus a PSA 10. So a lot of horror stories with people buying coverage through the Postal Service or
Yeah.
FedEx or USPS. But yeah, I mean, our biggest fear as collectors is shipping items. I know if you've seen, there's been a lot of horror stories lately on Instagram and on YouTube about items that have gone missing while being shipped. And we try to solve that pain point by developing a product that not only covers shipping, but covers, fire, theft, flood, water damage, a comprehensive product for collectors.
Yeah, no, I mean that's huge to give a sense of like relief and like a peace of mind knowing that when you're putting your items in the mail that they're covered to the value. But then additionally too, you talk about the amount of theft that's happening not only in the mail system but also at card shows. So from what we talked about at the club the meeting this weekend, that is also covered, correct? Any sort of theft that happens at card shows, whether it be a dealer set up at a table or vice versa, if your cards are insured through stadium insurance, you're good for shows.
Correct. So what happens is this, we cover theft, we cover fire, cover water damage, smoke damage, wind damage. We cover off-premise and on-premise. But the big thing is like 90% of the claims that we have seen in the last 3 years have had to do with theft in the mail and also theft at shows, whether it's at the show or at the trade night after the shows. We're starting to see a larger frequency of claims that way.
Sure. And is there any sort of trend that you can speak to with your business in terms of are you seeing more collectors reaching out to ensure their collections at home versus dealers? Like, do you have data that shows that, or what's the typical profile of somebody that's coming to Stadium Insurance?
Yeah, typically, I would say 75% of the policies we're selling are personal policies because when we launched, we first had a personal product. We now have a commercial product to protect dealers. We were finding that many of the dealers that do these shows on the weekends don't have any coverage on their inventory. So we developed a dealer policy as well, which provides higher limits while you're at a show or higher limits when you're shipping for the more frequent transactions.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me and it does show though like the true hobby ecosystem is built around the collector and collectors and making sure, that they're being served correctly. So obviously that insurance piece is a big part of it. I loved what we were talking about on the club meeting though about the way that you file a claim and as well as the way that you get set up with the insurance. There's an app as well that I wanted you to kind of speak to and just the easy of being able to document what your collection is worth and management of your collection and the value. Would love for you to speak to the app as well as how you upload and go about valuing your collection.
Yeah, so a big goal of ours was to simplify the process of obtaining insurance for your collection. I know a lot of collectors are concerned that they have this overwhelming collection, thousands of cards, and it would be just too cumbersome to get an insurance policy. We simplified that process. The way to go about getting the coverage is you can go to our website or you can call us. If you go to our website, we ask, what's the value of your collection? And we base the overall premium and the coverage. Everything falls into line after you determine how much coverage you're looking for your collection. And then high value items, we ask that you schedule those by downloading our mobile app. And those high value cards, you could take a picture of the front and back of those items right in our mobile app. So it's not necessarily to schedule every card that you have, it's just the high value cards. And with the mobile app, as you buy, sell, and trade, you could add new cards or remove cards from the mobile app. And there
Yeah.
will be a schedule in there for you. And it's not just cards, it's sports memorabilia, it's non-sports trading cards, it's autographed memorabilia, it's type 1 photos. It's the whole gamut of sports collectibles and non-sports trading cards.
Yeah, you guys want to be the go-to spot for anybody that's looking to insure collectibles, period. And I think that's important with how much the collectible industry has grown, not in terms of just valuations, which we've obviously seen, but the number of new collectors that are coming into the market that might be collecting Pokemon or NBA cards or NFL cards, whatever it is, it's expanding across so many different categories. So for you guys to be the leader in that space, it's got to be an exciting time to be leading the ship on a product like this. How has that been?
It's been very cool. I'm amazed with the valuations of these cards. I would say, once a month we're adding a card that's in excess of $500,000 to someone's policy, and it's pretty cool to see what people are investing in. We know now we call it an investment as this is becoming a
Yeah.
legitimate asset class. but it's amazing to see what people collect and who collects it. I mean, we have the whole gamut from professional athletes, to CEOs to the everyday, average collector. I mean, it's amazing what people are buying and what they're spending on these. And it makes you feel good that the hobby is thriving once you see that people really do believe in these collectibles.
I mean, just you saying that gets me stoked, man. I talk about it all the time as an asset class. It's super cool to hear that you're getting a window into that trend. Are there any specific cards that you could speak to that you've seen that you've recently been able to insure?
Yeah, we've seen some of the real high-end modern cards we've been insuring. A couple logo mans, some of the one-of-ones, some big Otani cards. Um, but yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of high-end vintage. The 51 Bowman sets. Those are pretty incredible. 52 tops. Those cards, even the mantles, even in lower grades, there's significant value there. So it's pretty cool to see these items.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, it's great to hear that people are thinking about making sure that they're getting them insured and keeping them safe. But for you to get a window into just the trend of, I guess, people valuing these things as a part of their portfolio and being sure that like this is something that means something to me in my overall construction of how I want to allocate my capital. I love to get any tidbits that I can from people that are in the industry that are seeing it like that. So I think that's awesome. A couple other, questions that I wanted to ask with you in terms of coverage for this as well. Um, do you guys cover against scams and fraud and things like that that are happening online with so much commerce that's happening through online platforms? I think people would want to know a little bit more about details related to that.
Yeah, we don't insure against fraud. I mean, it's very difficult to insure against fraud. And we don't insure against authenticity of
Yeah,
items.
that was
So
a key
that's
thing.
something that we don't insure. And there's not a carrier I know of that does that. But what we do cover, is, when you sell something, as long as you ship it out with tracking and signature confirmation, it'd be covered. You're covered for fire, you're covered for theft. That's a big one. Whether we have people that walk around the National with their Zion case with their life savings in there and their
Yeah.
collectibles. And it's amazing. You put it down for 1 second, or someone follows you out to your car, or you put it up in your hotel room at night when you go out to dinner. We cover theft. So that, you know,
I, I think that's a good point that you just hit on in terms of what you do once you have coverage from Stadium Insurance. So once you have a policy with you guys, and you choose the amount of coverage that you want. Let's say you have a $50,000 policy. When you want to ship an item in the mail, you just need to have it signature required. You don't need to pay for additional carrier insurance at all. So it is like I've shipped cards in the mail and it cost me $100, $200 to overnight it, do the extra mile for shipping. That's not necessarily needed when you have a policy like this. Cost you $10 potentially to ship a $30,000 card because you have your coverage with Stadium Insurance. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so that pays off the policy. I mean, you make up the
That's my
cost quite
point.
a bit. I mean, you ship two
Right.
or three things a month. The cost of the policy outweighs what you're going to be paying the postal service for the extra insurance. And
Right.
plus, like I said, we're more familiar with the actual industry and the evaluations and what these items are worth. You're not fighting with a third party that doesn't understand the market.
So let me ask you this. You being the CEO of the company, I think I love hearing from business leaders as you're looking to grow this business. Talk to me about what your vision is for Stadium Insurance in the future. Where do you hope to bring it to? Will we see you at shows? What's your plan on growing it? And what else can Stadium Insurance get into?
Yeah, as a collector, and my partners are collectors as well, we had a wide network of of collectors that we've dealt with over the years that
Yeah.
would always ask us, how do you insure these items? So we built it organically just through our own network to start out with. And we've expanded. We've participated in the West Coast Card Show, a lot of shows on the West Coast. We're starting to expand out across the country as we go to different shows. But it's been overwhelming right now, the amount of collectors that are signing up for this product. A lot of it's word of mouth, but we are looking for partnerships with authentication companies and auction houses as we rebuild uh, this in this space.
That's great. Well, I'm rooting for you, man. I think it's awesome. I love that it's helping people out because I can see it being a pain point in the industry. Last questions I wanted to make sure that I asked you too, just about you specifically as a collector. I always love to ask people this. You mentioned a little bit that you collect. I love the 500. Is that the 500 home
Yeah.
run club right
Yeah,
behind you there?
exactly.
I want to ask you what your favorite item is in your collection that you currently have, and then what your holy grail item is. If you could get any sports card collectible, whatever item that is, to add to your collection, what is it? So, love to hear that from you.
Yeah, no, great question. Growing up here in the Bay Area, probably my favorite collectible that I have a Barry Bonds game used 2001 Sam bat when he tied and passed Willie Mays for the single season home run record. So that's a
You
big one.
you have that in your collection.
I have that in my collection.
The,
And
the
another
game
one
used
is
that he used to hit those home runs.
correct. And
That's
then I have
insane. Like you're just blowing past that. That is a massive piece of history. I mean,
yeah, no, that's great.
that's
And
so
then
cool.
yeah, that's a favorite. And then the other one is I have a Barry Sanders 1994 game used jersey.
Okay.
Barry Sanders, one of my favorite players, unbelievable running back, and I have one of his photo match game worn jerseys. So that's a great piece of my collection as well.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
as far as a holy grail, probably would be a Michael Jordan photo match game worn jersey. I've been close a couple times, but that's something definitely on my radar.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy when you look at the Michael Jordan market, what it has done over the last decade. One of the things I think about with Jordan as well is when you look at the PSA grading reports, he's always the number one graded player still. And like, they're not really, there's some inserts of cards that they're making today with him, but the majority of his cards have been printed. And he's still the number one most graded guy every month. And it shows you just how dominant he is as a force culturally to sports, but more specifically the hobby. Like people love collecting Michael Jordan. It's fascinating to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because when I look at the cards that are being scheduled or the items that are being scheduled on these policies, it's always Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. I mean, where people are spending big money on collectibles seems to be those three players. More than any other sport, it's basketball and it's high-end basketball with Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron.
That's a
Those are
really interesting insight. I think it shows like the direction of where the market has been going lately in terms of like people want the best of the best. Those names that you mentioned are the greatest basketball players of all time. And that trend's going to continue. Like the quote goats, that trade is not going anywhere. People are going to continue to pile in and invest into that. So, there's always going to be a spot for speculation. People love to buy the up and coming prospect. That comes with 99% of the time, you are not going to pick the right prospect. So most people are coming to this answer of like, let me just buy the greatest players of all time and let it ride. So it's interesting that you see that on the other side. And man, I wish you the best in trying to get that Michael Jordan game used jersey. I feel like less and less of them going out there. Um, I think, that card category though is unbelievable. Just this week, I just sold a PSA 9 copy of Michael Jordan's rookie. I'm in the process of hopefully brokering a PSA 10, which would be the first time that I ever moved a PSA 10 rookie of his. And one of the things that I find interesting on the pop count of those cards, like 86 Fleer was a set that was produced a decent amount. Like the population on PSA 10s is over 300 for his rookie card, but with that high of a pop count, it's still trading between two and $300,000. So it's a super valuable card, even with the population being quite high. And again, it's a testament to the demand of his market just beats out anybody else because anybody else that had a pop of a 300 plus in a PSA 10 probably wouldn't be valued there. But because it's Jordan, man, it's not going anywhere. So thought that would be an interesting fact to also share.
Yeah, and we've also seen a surge in the signed rookie cards, whether it's a rookie signature, vintage signature on a star rookie card or even on the Jordan rookie Flair card. I mean, those values are through the roof. And we're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of our high-end clients purchasing those cards as well.
Interesting. So the rise of the autograph and the signature, the on-card autos, that was a trend, first. So there's not a lot of vintage cards that play in that space, right? Because the first cards that came, at least pack opened with signatures was 1992, 1994, somewhere in that time frame. So like most of this stuff, there's on-card autos that players signed post-production, but those like really clean, autograph copies like of the Logo Man and stuff like that that's a relatively new trend in the history of the hobby, and some of this newer investment money seems to really value that quality of a card.
right. Well, it used to be taboo to get a high-end card or a rookie card signed, and now these big investors are buying these rookie cards that are signed, and they want the vintage autograph on
Yeah,
the old vintage cards. So it's
for sure.
interesting to see. I mean, it's we all have different preferences, but it's interesting to see the different trends.
It's yeah, that's what makes a market, man. It's what makes it really exciting, and I love following it. I'm just such a fan of how the whole ecosystem works. So, all right, as we wind down here, I want to make sure that I get a chance to ask you, how can people find you? How can people get a policy set up? Talk me through that process because I think there's a lot of people that would probably like to learn more.
Yeah, the best way to do it is go right to our website. It's stadiuminsurance.com. You can get a no obligation quote yourself. You can go right to the website. There's a click get a quote button. Basically, you just put in your name, your address, and the amount of coverage you're looking for. In a matter of minutes, you'll have a quote.
Yep,
Uh, and then if you decide you have any additional questions, there's a chat button on there, or you can give us a call. Our phone number's on there as well. We make the process very easy and seamless. And then once you purchase the policy, we ask you to download the mobile app where you can add those high value cards that you own if you have any cards that exceed that high value limit. So we
perfect.
make the process as simple as possible.
And you guys are on Instagram too, yeah?
Correct. It's at Stadium Insurance.
Got to plug the Instagram. Always good to get the socials up. I will certainly plug it as well in my newsletter. I have a unique code and I want to make sure that people can get that. I'll have that in the Bonkers Cards weekly email as well from the summary of the call this week. But it is bit.ly/bonkers stadium will be my link. So bit.ly/bonkersstadium.com. That's where you can go to use my specific code. You can use that on the Bonkers Cards weekly newsletter. I'll have that linked as well. But even if you don't, the more important thing is to go get your collectibles insured. Check out Stadium Insurance. Dan, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on again. Thank you for joining the Bonkers Cards Club, and welcome to the Bonkers Cards Club as a honorary member now for joining the meeting.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And it's great to talk to your members. And if anybody needs anything, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help anybody.
And once we get off, I'm gonna have to see some pictures of this Barry Bonds sand bat. It's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
no problem. No
Awesome, cool,
problem.
Dan. Well, thank you so much. We'll catch you later.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Take care.